Welcome back and thanks for tuning in. It's been a bit of time now since I've given you guys an update on this table saw stand I put together, and the reason behind it's really quite simple. Whenever I come up with a new design, I want to work with it for a little while, see if it does what I want it to do, and of course, do maintenance on it, move it around the shop, make sure all that stuff works as well, and then decide whether or not I want to make it a permanent part of the shop. And this stand has definitely lived up to the expectations I had, and there's a couple features of it that have turned out to be really quite handy. Now, the main thing for this particular saw is the dust collecting. That's the drawer right underneath here. And I've filled it up a couple of times now. I've emptied it out and done some, obviously, vacuuming around and checking things out, making sure it does, like I said, everything that I want it to, and I'm very happy with it. It has drastically cut down on the amount of sawdust I have in the shop itself, as far as what I have to sweep off on the floor and dust that collects generally around various things in the shop. Now, it obviously doesn't collect all of it. I mean, it's nowhere near as efficient as I suspect having some sort of filter system with a fan and that sort of thing, and something like that may be in the works later on, but for the moment this does very, very well, much better than what my old system was, and I'm quite happy with it. The other thing is I find the slots I've left underneath the stand are being used quite a bit as well. They are more than handy for putting the saw sleds and that sort of stuff underneath there, and of course I've made some new jigs, and I find them quite handy to store in there as well. So it is serving a multiple bunch of purposes, and like I said, I'm quite happy with it. So next step is to make this more permanent. I want it to be well, the main feature, of course, at the moment is the saw itself is just sitting on top of the stand. So when I go to move things around, or I am cutting something particularly large, the saw itself can shift on the stand. So I am going to make some anchors, and I'm going to make it so that whenever I move this, whatever I do with it, the saw will stay exactly over the hole, centered, and I won't have to worry about that sort of thing. So that is today's purpose, and the next video for this, and something that I'm already working on, I plan on, if you look at the top of the screen right now, I want to extend that. I want the extension to be much longer. Currently, I rely on cutting wood. When I go to one of the big box stores, I get them to cut it down to size. And of course, I like to not trust them a whole lot. What I do is I make sure that they cut it so that it's a little bit oversized. So when I get to the shop here, I can cut it down. But sometimes that's not even enough, because the piece, like I'm doing some bit of renos on the house, and it's still too large for my saw to handle. So what I want to do is I want to make an extension on like the top part there. I want it to be longer, not enough to cut a full sheet, because I just don't have the space. The shop is not that large. It is half of a basement basically, and the other half is my fish room. So there's really not enough space to be able to maneuver a full sheet down here and cut it to the sizes I want. So I still have to unfortunately rely a little bit on the box stores to reduce the sheet to something manageable. But at least a half sheet shouldn't be a problem at all, which is nice. That's the kind of thing, my goal anyway. So that's going to be for the next video. And this one here, it's going to be very straightforward. I'm making 4 corner anchors. They're going to be screwed right down into the stand itself, and that is going to give me a nice firm, well, they're not actually going to attach to the saw itself. They're just going to rest right up against it, and if I'm moving the saw around, maneuvering in the stand in the shop, none of that is going to change its positioning, so it'll be nice and anchored. One of the other things I'm probably going to have to work on in the near future is a couple of wheel anchors, so that the saw will actually stay in place on the floor where I want it to. So that is something else I want to work on. The nice thing about working in a shop, or the bad thing depending on your point of view, is there's always things to work on, and there's always improvements one can make and test stuff out and all that sort of thing. So there's going to be plenty of videos, and the other channel I run, I sometimes tend to get into making videos that I think people want, instead of making videos about stuff that I need. This channel is going to be a little bit more, well, practical I want to make stuff that I can use, such as these things. I want to hopefully make stuff that you guys might find useful yourselves. And every now and then, just because I see things on the internet, just like everybody else does, I will try something out. And that's, again, just because. There's no real reason for it, just something that's caught my curiosity. And as this goes forward, what I'm going to do as well is create some playlists and make things a lot easier for you guys to find. So if you're interested in, let's say, well, something like this, which is improvements and changes to the table saw or the table saw stand, there'll be playlists for that. And of course, if you're interested in just weird things I've seen on the internet and I'm going to try and make, there'll be, a list for that sort of thing as well. So this is almost done. These holes are going to be quite straightforward to put together now. And it's just a simple matter of putting up relatively snug to the saw itself on the stand and screwing them into place. And that's basically all there is to this. A very simple video today, but also a very necessary one because I need this firmly anchored in place before I can start working on, well, first off, the extension and some other stuff I want to do with this stand as well. I definitely want to improve it as much as I can, and as you can see here as I attach these, they're not going to be glued in place because as I make modifications, I may need to adjust the position of the saw a little bit, and this way I can just unscrew these, reposition, and then screw them back in. And as you can see here shortly, this is very, very solid. I don't have to worry about this at all. Very happy with it, and again, even just simple maintenance where I want to lift this up and clean excess sawdust, that sort of thing. It's all going to be very, very easy to do. They're all in place now. And you can see it's not a difficult job at all. Also, right at the bottom there, you can see a little bit of storage for some of the jigs I put together. And there you go. I'm going to give this a shake now, and that's basically the video today. And as you see, it's really, really solid. I'm very happy with that. And next video on this is going to be the extension on the right-hand side of the blade so I can cut larger sheets. And then, of course, I need to make a bunch of other stuff. So thank you very much for watching. Leave comments, and I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.